Hey there, good afternoon. So, welcome back. It's been a couple of weeks since I've been here let me just move my screen a little bit, for a Real Talk episode or live event. But yeah, there's been a lot going on here in my world. So, if you're new to finding me, my name is Norma Fran, and I am a life coach and integrative nutrition health coach. And I try to be here most Wednesdays just to have some real conversation. And it's been mostly around my my program that I had called Weight Loss Your Way. And it's really this holistic approach that I was taking with weight loss and helping my clients figure out a way to lose their weight and still honor their lives, make it work for their lives. So that's what we've been talking about the last couple of months or so since I've started doing these shows. But I've been on a pause for the last few weeks. There's just been a lot going on in my life. We've had a family medical crisis that we had to work through in April, and everything worked out just fine. So that was good. The job during the day, was incredibly busy in April, so I really had to put a lot of energy and focus there, and I just needed a couple of weeks just to kinda sit back and regroup a little bit. So, I do have to say, though, that I'm incredibly grateful that I can now recognize that in myself, like, when I need to pause and just think. Like, old me would have just pushed through no matter what, and I just would have worn myself down even further. So I'm really glad that my inner compass, when it starts to get all wacky and spinning out of control, I just know it is time to put on the brakes, get my poop in a group, and figure out what direction I need to go towards. So that's what I've been doing the last couple of weeks. But I am glad to be back here. I really enjoy these talks on Wednesday afternoons. So let's dive in today to a little bit about what I was actually reflecting on and thinking about over these last couple of weeks. So let me just check and see. Okay, good. So after Nah, during this few weeks that I was off, I did spend a lot of time thinking about my own personal journey that certainly involved weight loss, but there was that bigger transformation that I made in my life. And weight loss was really just the byproduct of that. But it was all about finding my self-worth and my self-confidence. And like I said, weight loss, yes, was a byproduct of that. And I thought a lot about my clients and their personal journeys. And the one thing that I noticed, and it was a pretty obvious notice, was that the single biggest struggle for me personally, and for almost 100% of my clients, has been the relationship with food or emotional eating. It's a source of frustration, confusion, and just a ton of complication. So, not to mention how upsetting it is and how out of control emotional eating can feel. So, I got thinking about emotional eating and how it impacts or influences weight loss. And that really kind of came about because that's the advice we've all been given to solve for emotional eating, right? Go on a diet, control your food. So I dug in, and thankfully, one of my strengths, according to the Clifton Strength Finder, is that I'm a learner. I love to learn, and I know that about myself. So this started out to be a pretty deep rabbit hole that I was going down, but I started to research the correlation between emotional eating and weight loss. And I was, like I said, deep in that rabbit hole, but I had to weed through the mountains of just online garbage, just diet culture garbage that's out there, and get to the real experts, like the psychologists and the therapists and the dietitians. And I wanted to understand if there was a theme, if there was something common that some common connection they were all making between emotional eating and weight loss. And it didn't take long to see that there was something emerging there. And I kept digging and I kept digging. And I realized that what was emerging was the very same thing I had been kind of skirting around as a weight loss coach. but I could never quite put language around it. And the thing is that I discovered, this thing that was emerging, and is that the act of dieting as we know it, the restrictive dieting, diet culture dieting, is actually fueling our emotional eating behaviors and keeping us stuck in that diet binge cycle. So here's what I mean. So when we feel bad about our bodies, we don't like the way we look, we feel less than or inadequate, what do? We go on a diet. Then the diet is not only depriving us physically of the food, it's depriving us emotionally, especially if we're someone who identifies as an emotional eater. And after some time, we just can't take it anymore and we go off the diet because all of those emotions were not getting any relief. We'd taken the food out, we were dieting. So those emotions were kind of like raw and right on the surface, and we're getting no relief. So we end up quitting the diet. That's one of the biggest reasons we all move away from diets. We just can't take it anymore. Something happens in our life and we just say the heck with it and we're done. And what that usually results in is a big food binge. And then we feel even worse about ourselves because we failed another diet. We just had a big food binge. So what do we do next? We vow to do it better next time. We'll start again on Monday. And then the process just repeats itself over and over and over again. So the dieting and the restricting is fueling our emotional eating. It's making it more extreme. And then when we start to hate our bodies even more because we failed yet another diet, we jump on and we diet harder. We become more restrictive and more militant about our food. And we get further and further away from any kind of a healthy relationship with food. So here's the hard truth. We have to stop doubling down on dieting and expecting that that's the thing that's going to work this time. That's the thing that's going to make us lose weight and solve for our emotional eating. All you're doing is feeding that diet binge cycle and making your emotional eating responses even more extreme. So, when I put those pieces together, I mean, I saw it clearly in my life how that played out. My work suddenly felt, frankly, a little misaligned to all that I stand for as a health coach and a life coach. Specifically, my mission that has not changed of dismantling the diet culture that keeps us stuck in measuring our self worth by the number on the scale. And I realized that in some ways, with nothing but good intentions, I was actually participating in the very thing I was trying to dismantle by leading with the goal of weight loss. Now, don't get me wrong. I 100% stand behind many of my weight loss your way concepts. In fact, a lot of them are really core beliefs, like listening to your body. Sorry about that. Like listening to your body and doing the deep inner work of fostering self-worth. And all of that I've been talking about since I started coaching was actually pointing more directly to changing your relationship with food and emotional eating the whole time. So instead of leading with the goal of weight loss, I'm putting all of my passion and energy behind a different goal. I think it's a bigger goal. It's freedom. Freedom from the anxiety and the guilt and the stress you feel around food in your body. This is what I believe will have a bigger, deeper impact on your life. And no amount of dieting or weight loss will ever give you that. Now, I think anyone who has struggled with their weight, myself included, has looked to the only solution we knew of, and that was dieting. Even though that dieting had failed us over and over and over again, we've kept going back and we kept hoping that this was the one. But like I said, the hard truth is it just is not. Freedom will never, ever be found in a diet. Freedom is going to be found when you uncomplicate your emotional eating behaviors and start changing the relationship you have with your food, with your body, and with yourself. And you can't solve that with a diet. The diet just interferes with all of that. So Could weight loss be a byproduct of changing the relationship with food in your body? Absolutely, it sure could. That was my own personal experience. It was also my experience in past times that pursuing weight loss with the only goal being weight loss is a recipe for another diet failure. And I don't want that to happen to anyone else. So here's what's happening. I am reeling in that very wide net I've cast of weight loss your way, and I'm going deep to help you find that freedom by uncomplicating emotional eating so that you can release the guilt and the shame you have around food and the shame you feel about eating in your body. So, lots of changes coming in my world, but here's what you can expect. I'm going to keep coming back here every Wednesday and I'm going to keep talking to you about all things emotional eating. Real talk, real life things that we're all dealing with. And I'm going to be doing the same thing on my new show, my new podcast, Mind, Body and Plate. I'm going to be retiring the old Weight Loss Your Way podcast and starting this new podcast that will be available in, I don't know, a week or so is what I'm shooting for. And it's going to be all about understanding emotional eating and the connection it has to how we think about ourselves and our bodies and how we can find that healthier relationship so we can stop just being so tightly wrapped up in the idea of dieting and the emotions that come with that and find new ways to cope with our emotions and cope with our crazy lives that don't always involve food. So I'm super excited about the new podcast and there will be lots more coming. I will absolutely talk about it on my Facebook page and over on YouTube. So watch for that. But the thing that I'm most excited about is kind of the next evolution of my community membership. The membership's also getting a facelift, and it's going to be also called Mind, Body, and Plate. And what's really great about this is I've built this core program that you'll be able to step through, which is really like a framework for how I'm helping you uncomplicate emotional eating. We're going to take all that complication out. And then in the membership, we're going to go even deeper on those really foundational concepts and do the work of actually changing that relationship with food and our bodies. I'm going to do it together. So I am in full on construction mode right now, building out this really safe place. It's off of social media. I host my community over on a place called Mighty Network. It's a platform that's 100% private. That's really important to me that this kind of work be done in a place that's safe and private that you can come to and focus on you and uncomplicating your emotional eating issues and really have an opportunity to get the coaching that you need, whether it's privately with me via the membership or just to have direct access to me in the community every day. I think that's going to be a great place for you to come and just sort out some of these things that are just really challenging. But when you do, like I mentioned before, when we uncomplicate all this and get to that better relationship, you're going to find that freedom. So I'm going to be opening my doors to the new group of founding members on June 1st. And I would love to invite you to get on the wait list so that you'll have the opportunity to be the first one through the doors. And you're going to come in as a founding member at a discounted rate that I'm going to keep in effect for just a couple of weeks. So I really, really hope that you take me up on that and see what Mind, Body, and Plate will have to offer for you. So all you have to do is click the link that I'm going to drop here in the comments. In fact, let me see if I can do that real quick here now. Yep. So it should, yep, there it is. So you should see that link if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, right below in the comment section. And all you do is click that, get on the list, and I'm not going to leave you hanging between now and June 1st. You will get a series of a few emails that'll help you kind of get started in taking a look at your emotional eating and your relationship with food and get a little jump start on the program. So that's what I have for you this week. I know that was a lot, but I really felt like I wanted to kind of take you through that thought process and how I kind of arrived here. And I'm really excited about this because I think this is Such an important thing that's just not talked about enough. So we are going to be talking all things emotional eating on the next Real Talk. So I will be back next Wednesday at noon Eastern, and we'll see you then. Bye bye.